Betty smiled meaningfully. What did I say my former job was, Margaret? Detective? Right. Police have the legal authority to track accounts. Of course, I'm not police anymore, but I still have some people who owe me favors. Betty made a phone call. Listening to her conversation, I saw a ray of hope. At the end of a long, dark tunnel, a very faint but definite light was beginning to appear. Our counterattack was just beginning. Betty's phone call brought amazing results. A current detective, one of Betty's protégés, unofficially looked into Sarah and Robert's recent financial transactions under the pretext of a financial fraud investigation. It was illegal, of course, but Betty reassured me that sometimes you need to run a red light to get somewhere quickly. A few days later, we received the inquiry results at Betty's house. The documents were filled with countless numbers and names. I couldn't make sense of it, but Betty scanned through with sharp eyes and soon let out a sigh. Look at this. This fox. She split the money across multiple accounts under different names. Classic money laundering technique, trying to avoid tracking. Sarah had divided the hundreds of thousands from Daniel's account among 5 or 6 different accounts. The account holders were all Sarah's distant relatives or old friends. She'd lost touch with. They probably just lent their names for a fee. But when the tail gets too long, it gets caught. The money going into these accounts all eventually flows to one place. Betty's finger pointed to one part of the document, a corporate account under the name Ardos LLC. It was an unfamiliar company name. What's this company, Betty? A paper company, a shell corporation, a fake company they created to hide money. Robert's listed as the representative, but Sarah's the real owner. I was speechless with shock. How could that young woman plan something so meticulous and vicious? Her usual appearance of not reading a single book, only interested in shopping and dramas, had all been an act. Now our target is set. We hit this shell company. If we secure the cash flow of this company, we can reveal the full scale and use of the money they embezzled. But how? We use Robert. Betty's eyes gleamed again. People like him have no loyalty. They'll betray each other to save their own skin. We just need to set the stage for that betrayal. Betty's plan was this first. I would contact Robert personally. I'd say something like, since you took over Daniel's company temporarily, performance hasn't been good. How about letting a capable manager I know handle it for a while? Robert would naturally object strongly since his cash cow would be cut off. That's when I deliver the crucial line. Actually, Sarah asked me first. She said it seems too much for you alone, that you might need professional help. Hearing that, Robert would suspect Sarah was betraying him, trying to swallow the company whole. Seeds of distrust would be planted between them. I admired Betty's plan. It was perfect divide and conquer. I called Robert immediately that day. Following Betty's script, I played the anxious, ignorant mother-in-law. Robert, about Daniel's company. I hear it's struggling these days. Is that true? There was a moment of confusion on the other end, but he soon answered casually. No, Mrs. Thompson. I don't know who told you that, but the company is running very well. Don't worry. Really? Well, you are so capable. But actually, Sarah told me you seem to be struggling alone. So I know someone very capable in management, and Sarah thinks it would be good to let them handle the company temporarily. What do you think? After I finished, there was a long silence on the other end. I could picture Robert's expression right now. Sarah said that I can't handle it alone? His voice had turned cold, different from before. He'd taken the bait. Yes, she's just trying to lighten your burden. Anyway, I'll talk to that person, so keep that in mind. I said only what I needed and hung up. Now Robert's mind would be filled with suspicion and betrayal toward Sarah. The operation worked perfectly. That night, through the recorder in the hospital room, we heard the two arguing violently. What the hell are you planning? Telling her mother, you'll find a new manager? You're dumping me now and taking the company for yourself? What are you talking about? I never said that. I was shocked when Mom suddenly said that too. Don't play dumb. You think I don't know? You were planning to use me and dump me once you got the money. You're the one who approached me just for Daniel's money, weren't you? They hurled insults and accusations at each other. Cracks were beginning to form in their seemingly solid criminal alliance. I smiled with satisfaction listening to the recording. A few days later, Betty initiated the next operation. This time she had an anonymous envelope delivered to Robert through an acquaintance. The envelope contained photos of Robert secretly meeting another woman at hotels without Sarah's knowledge and documents showing he'd embezzled additional company funds for personal use. Of course, the documents were convincingly fabricated by Betty. The note delivered with the envelope read, "Sarah hired me to investigate you. If you get caught, she's planning to pin everything on you and escape. You'd better get out now. She's much scarier than you think." This was the kill shot. Robert would now be certain that Sarah was trying to betray him and frame him for everything. A cornered rat will do anything. As expected, Robert contacted me the very next day. He wanted to meet. Betty and I went to the hotel caf he'd chosen. Robert, who looked like he'd aged years in just days, was waiting for us, nervously bouncing his leg. "Mrs. Thompson, I have something to tell you," I asked with an innocent expression. "What is it? Is there a problem with the company?" Robert hesitated, then seemed to make up his mind and spoke. "Actually, Sarah has been using me to embezzle company funds." Shamelessly, he began pinning all the blame on Sarah. He claimed he was just another victim, forced to comply under Sarah's threats. I sneered internally, but acted shocked on the outside. "What? Is that really true? Sarah did such things?" "Yes, I want to make everything right now. Mrs. Thompson, I'll tell you everything I know, so please show me mercy." Robert bowed his head before me. Betty looked at him with contempt and said, "Mercy? Then you need to show us what you can do first. Hand over all the internal documents for that shell company, Ardos LLC, where Sarah stashed the stolen money. Then we might consider leniency." When Betty mentioned Ardos, Robert's eyes shook violently. He was shocked that we knew everything. After a moment's deliberation, he finally nodded. "Understood. I'll hand them over tomorrow." The next day, Robert gave me a USB drive as promised. It contained everything from Ardos's incorporation documents to all the fund transfer records and ledgers. All the evidence of how Sarah and Robert had lived luxuriously with my son's money while cleverly evading the law. Now we had all the evidence: conversation recordings, account records proving the money, trail and internal documents from the shell company at the heart of the crime. All that remained was to prepare the final stage to cut off that devil of a daughter-in-law's lifeline. That night, I held Daniel's hand as he lay in bed and whispered, "Son, it's almost over. I'll give the same hell to those who drove you to hell. Just wait a little longer." Daniel's finger tapped my hand once. It was a stronger, firmer signal than ever. Our long performance was now racing toward its climax. The USB Robert handed over was Pandora's box. When we connected it to Betty's laptop and opened the files, I had to doubt my eyes. It didn't just contain simple transaction records. It was practically a chronicle of crime, detailing how meticulously and viciously Sarah and Robert had planned to destroy my son and the company. The shell company Ardos LLC was created from the start purely for money laundering. On paper, it was disguised as an import company, bringing in luxury goods from overseas, but in reality, not a single transaction existed. Money was simply flowing there from Daniel's personal and company accounts. Inside were perfectly prepared fake import declarations and false transaction statements. Even if someone suspicious looked into it, it would appear to be a normal company. Look at this, completely professional. To be continued in the next episode.